Hi, Jason Neufeld here from Elder Needs Law, and today I'm talking about personal services contracts. They're also known as family caregiver agreements. When are they used? Why are they used? And we're talking about them in a Medicaid planning context. And first thing to note is this is a strategy that is available to those seeking Medicaid long-term care benefits in Florida. It may be useful in one or two other states in the union, but most states in the United States do not recognize the validity of a personal services contract. So again, I'm an elder law attorney in Florida. I work with people all over the state, and this is a device used in Florida. And if you're in another state, please seek the advice of an elder law attorney there. Okay, so personal service contract, also known as a family caregiver agreement. This is a tool that is available to those looking to get assets out of their name. But we know a few things about assets, and if you're looking for Medicaid, you can't give assets away, right? So we all know that. You can't give assets away if you're looking for Medicaid within in the last 5 years. That's the 5-year look back period. So we know we can't give assets away within 5 years of applying for Medicaid, and so we are looking for Medicaid planning tools to get money out of my client's name without triggering that look back period. And the personal services contract or the family caregiver agreement is one such useful tool. And the premise is this: oftentimes my client comes to me and they are living at home, or they might be in an ALF, or they might be in a skilled nursing facility, and they have typically children or other family members, sometimes it's very close friends, who are picking up a lot of the slack as a caregiver. And they tend to do these things for free and out of love and devotion and don't expect to get paid. But the reality is that the law does not require these people to provide caregiving services for free. And we can take advantage of that fact by utilizing a personal services contract. And this is a real bona fide fair market value contract that's signed by my client, who is typically seeking Medicaid assistance to pay for nursing home care or assisted living facility care or home health care, and to help pay for some of their medications as well. And they have more than $2,000, maybe well over $2,000 in their bank account, and so they're not going to qualify the way things stand now. And so in recognition of the services that are being provided by, again, typically family members, we can create a contract that my client seeking Medicaid signs, and it's also signed by one or more caregivers, okay? And it goes like this: we take the average number of hours that the caregiver is putting into my client's care per week, and we can multiply that by a fair hourly rate. We can multiply that by 52 weeks in a year. We can multiply that by my client's life expectancy per Social Security tables, and that's this nice big number. We can then take that amount of money and in one lump sum transfer it into one or more caregivers' names, okay? And that is fair market value. That is not a gift. And in fact, this is based on real hours worked, because we're not making things up. In fact, I'm having the caregivers keep very specific and careful notes tracking the time they spend caring for my client. And then we can pay these folks in advance, and that's one way of getting money out of my client's name in a Medicaid compliant manner, because they're going to pay for the future caregiving services that are already being provided to them. So with that, we get a couple of common questions. Number one of the big drawbacks to this strategy is both to the caregiver and the care receiver. The caregiver, the one who's being paid, is now being paid for a service. And my client can choose to pay anyone to take care of them. Just because they choose to pay a family member or a close friend does not make that person any more or less special. And what I'm getting at is the person being paid is, of course, now has another source of income, and that's something that they're going to have to deal with the IRS. So as a result, caregiving contracts or personal services contracts are not suitable typically for those who are disabled or on Social Security disability who cannot work. They're getting paid by the government because they don't have an ability to work. So oftentimes they can't participate in this because it'll jeopardize their access to disability benefits. Also, if that person is receiving Medicaid and they cannot have too much by way of income or assets, they also cannot participate in this. But for those who aren't disabled, aren't receiving any government benefits, this is a suitable tool if they are comfortable with the income tax ramifications. Now, we have ways of deferring the income tax. So we can take, sometimes it's a high 5 or low 6-figure amount that we're transferring to the caregiver, and instead of giving it to them directly, instead we can put it into an annuity that pays the caregiver over time. And so because the caregiver only pays taxes as they receive the money, again, we're not eliminating taxes, but we are at least making it not such a huge gulp, right? They can pay taxes over the course of 4 or 5 years as opposed to paying that in all one lump sum. Now, the risk to the care receiver is they are literally taking a chunk of money and paying it in a large lump sum for somebody else's benefit, which means they no longer have access to that money, which means they better trust that caregiver, because if the caregiver wants to take their money that they have been paid through the personal services contract and run to Vegas and put it all on red, nothing to stop them from doing that. And it is in fact their money, and people can do whatever they want with their money. So I always say we want to make sure that we're not entering into a personal services contract with someone who might get divorced. We're not entering into someone with a gambling problem or a drug addiction problem, right? Because this money can certainly be squandered away if it's in the wrong hands. So there's lots of other considerations to think about when thinking about personal services contracts. We typically don't use them by themselves. We use them in conjunction with other Medicaid planning strategies to legally and ethically qualify my client for Medicaid home care, Medicaid ALF, or Medicaid nursing home benefits. To learn more about it, I'll link to some articles that I've written about it, and certainly feel free to schedule a consultation.